there's a big opportunity right now for Joe Biden. Trump is sidelined in court. President Biden is out barnstorming the country, specifically Pennsylvania. It's helping Biden in the head-to-head matchup polls. And right now, Joe Biden is even in Pennsylvania. A new Emerson, though, poll that we found lays out America's political divide in a way we have rarely seen it described. The new poll breaks down support for Trump and Biden, not based on political affiliation or education, but those based on how many hours they work. So you can see if someone doesn't work, slightly favor Donald Trump, maybe perhaps people who are retired. But then people who work less than 20 hours, 20 to 30 hours, by vast margin, support President Biden. 39 to 40 hours, 30 to 40 hours, still support President Biden. As soon as people start working 40, 50, and 60 hours a week, the numbers go wildly towards President Trump. Now, you might say, okay, well, maybe it's just rich Republicans who want Trump's tax cuts. So now we look at it by income. The opposite would be true. It is people who have far below the average income that disproportionately support Donald Trump, those with far above the average income who disproportionately support Joe Biden. Last month, we told you about a book called White Rule Rage. It highlights the divide between working class and professional class, working class and laptop class, described as a searing portrait and damning takedown of America's proudest citizens, who are also the least likely to defend its core principles. The authors of that book, Thomas Schaller and Paul Waldman, are standing by again tonight. We look forward to another conversation. But before we get to them, President Trump, former President Trump's latest attempt to woo working class voters came Tuesday, not in rural Kansas, but at a stop at a New York convenience store, the same store where a deadly stabbing happened in 2022. Former president is actually already making plans to advertise off of his visit.
Crowds gathering up a bodega.
You see, the moment Mr. Trump arrived tonight, people lined up along 139th and Broadway as he made his way inside the Hamilton Heights bodega to meet with Jose Alba.
Francisco Marte appeared with the former president on Tuesday. He joins us now. He's spokesman for the United Bodegas of America. We appreciate you being here. Thank you. How much of those crowds, to be fair, were Trump supporters that the Trump campaign called Francisco and said, hey, come on out?
Hey, thanks. Let me clear. It's a Bodega and Small Business Group. That's the organization that we invite Donald Trump.
Got it. All right. So I know you were there because the Bodega, your group has endorsed Donald Trump, but the big crowds that were out front that we saw, and most of them, at least as we could tell, a lot of them were Hispanics and a lot of them were African Americans. Were those people that the campaign brought in, or were those actual just supporters in Harlem who heard Donald Trump was there and showed up?
No, that was a very big surprise because we didn't promote that. We even let that know to the news, even was after 12 o'clock. So the people, they find out quick, and there was a lot of people that were asking why I didn't let them know that he was coming to Washington High. All of those people that just went there because they support Donald Trump. They like law and order. That's what we're looking forward to, and that's why we thank Donald because he came and he said, I support the Bodega and the Small Business Group for what you're doing against the crimes. So we really be so pleased with Trump having him there in the hood the first time ever the president of the United States goes to the Bodega.
Yeah, you think about current President Biden, right? He went to Wawa in Pennsylvania, Sheetz as well, both convenience stores. Typically, you think it'd be reversed, right? That President Biden would be the guy at a bodega in New York. You think what kind of response do you think he would get there?
Well, right now, I don't think that he will have a lot of response, and I believe that he will have more protests than welcome call with the situation that is happening, not only with the crime, but even with the problems we are facing also on the borders. So that is affecting a lot of New York as well.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.